Two. Well, welcome back, everybody. This is Annette Dion and our resident astrologer, Kathy Beal. It is Tuesday, September 12th, 2023, and we are here to go over what's happening in the skies right now. We know that it's a lot, and Kathy even wore a shirt to commemorate that.
Nice.
And she disappeared. Suddenly, the night sky went dark. It must have been a cloud. So we were just mentioning Mercury retrograde. This is very typical. I screwed up my schedule today. That was pretty typical. I'm about done with this Mercury retrograde. So we're going to talk about what's going on, a little bit of personal effects of this Mercury retrograde, how it affects each person and how it's affecting the collective energy, particularly in the United States. Boy, they came back with a bang, didn't they? How you doing?
Oh yeah.
How you doing before we really do a deep dive?
I'm sleeping in shifts.
You're sleeping in shifts. I've heard from so many people that having trouble sleeping, which was something that I used to struggle with, for decades, and I got a handle on it eventually. I think it was karmic. But yeah, I've heard so many people saying they haven't been able to sleep. They keep waking up in the night. And similarly, what do you think that is astrologically?
Well, it probably has something to do with Mercury. I'm sure Uranus plays a role too, and they're kind of related, all right? Uranus is what's called the higher octave of Mercury, that both rule the mind. Mercury rules our mere mortal mind, and Uranus rules what's called the greater mind or the higher octave mind. I call him like Mercury's crazy uncle.
I never thought of it that way. Mercury's like a little troublemaker.
He's a trickster. This week, I also call them like Rick and Morty, but not everybody knows that reference.
Yeah, he is called the troublemaker, right? Mercury?
He's a trickster, yeah.
And do you refer to different planets as she or he?
I call Mercury a he, yes.
Is there a reason? Or just feels that?
Because it's named after a god.
Oh, okay. Yeah, okay. That makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So he, the trickster.
So Mercury has been retrograde since, I think it was the 23rd of August, and he officially stations direct on the 15th. But he's already pretty much at the degree where he's going to do his turnaround. So we've got this long stretch of time of Mercury basically being motionless, which means we really get a chance. Well, time slows, or the experience of time slows. And Mercury is in a sign that he rules. He's in Virgo, which is his earth-bound, practical, analytical expression, not flying all over the place as he does in Gemini, but down on the ground. What can I do with it? So Mercury in Virgo has been bringing our attention to the details of our daily lives, and tools and things that we trip on. And I've been using that phrase a lot. And a lot of stuff has been coming up this week that has been extraordinarily earthbound, practical, tangible ramifications. Mercury, where it is stationing direct, 8 degrees Virgo, is in a challenging aspect to the U.S. Uranus, which is at 7 Gemini. So there's a ton of stuff just coming out, and it's also interacting with, no surprise, Trump's chart. And I've just been detailing the news coming down.
So you've probably done a lot of videos lately on the US.
I just chalk it up in my mind. I've been living my own life uncharacteristically for a while.
You've shut off the news?
No, I just haven't been doing videos about them. But I've been keeping a running tally. Anyway, this is also really important in Jim Jordan's chart. Not that I want to dive into that rabbit hole right now, but know that there's a lot of stuff coming out that is the result of real evaluative thinking. It's not just fantasy nonsense, but details. And the detail, you can either say God is in the details or the devil's in the details, and sometimes it's both.
Is that the Mercury and Virgo
Yeah, that's the Mercury in
influence?
Virgo and stationing direct. So we are at a point this week of hitting a spot where we can do something with and about all the little Mercury in Virgo retrograde experiences that we've had, because the new moon in Virgo, which Mercury rules, happens right before he technically stations direct, but he's already not moving. So he's already in the spot where he's going to do his turnaround. When we have the new moon, which is the 14th in some parts of the globe, 15th in others, in the US, it's pretty much on the 14th.
So Mercury rules Virgo?
Yes, Mercury
Oh,
rules
I didn't
Virgo.
know
It
that.
rules two signs. It rules Gemini and it rules Virgo.
Oh, that makes sense. Hadn't heard Virgo. Gemini, I had heard that. That's
Mhm.
because when I meet Geminis, they seem to be very chatty.
Right. And Virgos have, they have the Virgo approach is to look at something from the perspective of how can this be improved?
Yeah, it's been good. That aspect has been good for me personally because I don't pay attention to details that much. And it's like, oh, maybe I should pay attention to my bookkeeping. Maybe I
Yeah,
should
you kind of
clear out
have.
that corner, like that. Maybe this office could be a little more organized. That kind of thing where it's actually like conceivable that I might actually do it. So I
Hmm.
liked Mercury in Virgo, but I haven't liked the retrograde. This one's been hitting hard, like I mentioned before, to the point I just have to go, "Oh, all right, I'll just wait." But I think that has to do with the other planets being retrograde at the same time.
Well, but the outer planet retrogrades are much more of an influence forcing us to go internal.
Yeah.
I mean, yeah, they also can bring they can have impact in events. Certainly Saturn, which is all over all kinds of people's charts this week. Yes.
Oh,
So
really? What do you mean? Like, oh, the nefarious
all kinds of
forces
people
that
that
be?
you want to talk about are having
I know. I couldn't
really
wait.
heightened.
I had to push up today's meeting because I had a radio interview that finished up around 3:30. Um, but I had to wait, but I couldn't wait to talk to Kathy about what's going on. I mean, I just have to say, Kevin McCarthy, I saw that he announced that they're doing an impeachment inquiry into Joe Biden, and I couldn't even look at him making this ridiculous announcement coming on the heels of the anniversary of September 11th. And it's like, can we just be decent? Can we just be respectful and honorable and decent and stop the ridiculousness? I didn't really. When I finally listened to him, but I didn't watch him, I was just like, I cannot stand his voice. It's just, he's so obviously lying and he so obviously knows it. So we had mentioned in earlier shows, I think, boy, we've been doing this a while because it was like back in
Mhm.
June, or May. Wow, time flies. Um, we were talking about June being maybe the beginning of his downfall. Kevin McCarthy's due to the Saturnian influences. What's going on with that now? Because we thought he would be done by June.
Yeah, well, it's not pleasant for him. He's in a vise. Saturn is he's having his second pass of his Saturn return. He's going to have three passes. So your Saturn return is when you get to see how you've been using your energy, how you've been using your maturity. Are your structures sound? Can you sink pylons into the ground? How are your foundations? Or are things going to collapse on you?
Is
So
he in
he's
his
got,
late? Is he in his late 50s with the Saturn
yeah,
return?
yeah, he was born in 65.
Oh, okay. Yeah, so he's right there. The Saturn
Yeah.
return can be a very tumultuous time.
Well, so right now, Saturn is on his Saturn. It'll be there one more time. I think it's in November or so. But what makes this pass particularly insane is it locks into Matt Gates's chart. Matt Gates's Uranus, his disruptor planet, is a challenger to um, McCarthy's Saturn, and while you were waiting to come on, Gates has now made a statement on the floor that he wants McCarthy removed from the speaker position if the House doesn't subpoena Hunter Biden, what for, and move forward on these impeachment proceedings. They don't want to deal with the budget.
So, in other words, if Kevin McCarthy doesn't agree to destroy America, they're going to get rid of him so they can
Oh,
proceed to destroy America. That's
right.
really it's so infuriating.
Sorry, I misspoke. He wants to subpoena Hunter Biden, and he has budget demands that he wants McCarthy to cave to, or they'll knock him out of the speaker position. Now, it may take until November for McCarthy to get ejected. He has some real hard stuff coming next year as well. Not comfortable for him, just not
Well, basically, their budget requests are to defund the DOJ, right? I mean, am I right? I haven't read the news in the past hour, but
I don't. Who knows? I don't
it's
know.
like
I don't.
defund the FBI, defund the DOJ, defund the Border Patrol. I mean, that's what I think the budget requests are, to just destroy everything. So what is Matt Gates? These people, I mean, I think about them and I just
So, a
breathe.
couple of things about Gates. So, Saturn is challenging his Uranus, and that could be kind of what is prompting him, instead of taking responsibility for his own stuff, that he's doing this. But at the same time, whatever his fundamental insecurities are getting kicked up by Uranus in the sky. So he's kind of in massive loose cannon mode, and it is possible that his own funding is in question, under attack, in
Matt Gates is
jeopardy.
funding, like where
Mhm.
his money's coming from. Did you ever look into? I'm sure you did. How is it that he didn't get arrested and thrown in jail for the sex trafficking?
He
Hmm.
has, well, now, interesting you bring that up. He has Saturn and Pluto widely conjunct in his natal chart. So Pluto is, it's undercurrents, but he has big, um, he's allied with some powerful forces.
Like his
Well,
dad?
I keep mentioning eclipses in October,
I
and the
know.
first one is going to hit the reset button on all of this. So I would not be so sure that he gets to sit pretty forever and ever. And let's add to the equation, yesterday, more than 2,000 of Mark Meadows's texts on January 5th and January 6th were released. And I believe Gates is in among them. I do know Jim Jordan is.
They were released to the public?
If you go to CNN.com, you can read
Get
highlights.
out! I just stay away from CNN now, but I might go back and just dip my toe in
On
the water for that.
on the website, they didn't. Yeah. So this is all part of stuff coming out,
Yeah.
and Mercury stationing direct, squaring, challenging, activating the U.S. Uranus, which sits on our seventh house cusp. We are wired to have really unstable alliances and really crazy open enemies with that there.
So within and from outside the country
Mm-hmm.
too? Oh, that doesn't sound comforting.
Would you argue that
No, it's we
I
just want to
mean,
hear that we're going to be okay, which we
well,
always do
no,
get
I'm just saying
to.
this stuff is coming to light, and
Right.
there are significant people in place who have profound power in their charts. And I'm going to say Fonnie Willis. We've
Yeah.
talked about Jack Smith, Fonnie Willis, Tanya Chutkan, and Letitia
Letitia. Hmm.
James. Letitia James's chart interacts with the October 2nd trial date, which may change, but that's for the Trump Organization fraud. So
Yeah.
we've got that coming October 2nd, supposedly, and she is like karmically linked to that. And where do you want me to go with this? Because I could go in like
Well,
15
okay,
directions. Do you want to talk about Tanya Chutkan or what?
well,
Not yet.
All of the above. In which order? The October 2nd, if the October 2nd is a trial date, right? Was Letitia James in New York?
Yes.
If that stays, and I need to look at that in my next reading.
Well, Trump
PNN.
did make a motion to have it bumped, and it got thrown out.
Didn't his lawyer make a big boo-boo?
Anyway, it's not being postponed. I mean, maybe it
Oh,
gets
yeah.
postponed a day or two or whatever,
I don't
but
feel like it's
no,
going to get postponed.
no. Mm-mm.
So say it goes through, it happens on October 2nd. What's the astrology look like for Trump for that day?
Well, it Mars in Libra, so Libra's sign of the courts, Mars's action, Letitia James's sun and her North Node, which is her karmic path, are right on top of Mars in the trial chart, which is in a direct flow to Trump's sun and his North Node. So it's almost as if she is fated to go after him and this organization, much as, spoiler, teaser, Tanya Chutkin is fated to take Trump down for
It's
major
the
crimes.
women. It's the women.
Well,
And
that's
also
been
funny.
said, right.
Yeah.
Other things that are important in this is that I have mentioned several times that Uranus in the sky is heading toward the doorway to Trump's public life, to his midheaven, and it's acting like tip, 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 and that next year it goes across it like a wrecking ball. So that little tap, tap, tap is in place in this chart. And her Letitia James's Letitia James has a stellium, which is 3 or more planets. She's got 3 in the early degrees of Scorpio, which makes for incredible research abilities and able to get down into really dirty things and find out what's really going on. And her Jupiter is the final planet in this group, and it directly flows into Trump's Mercury. He communicates in he has Mercury in Cancer. He communicates in an extremely emotional, non-rational way.
Yeah, he's
That's how he
drowning in
gets.
that right now. He's drowning in his emotional self
Well,
right now.
she's got a direct line into that and to pull it out.
She's throwing him into the pool. I'm going to get the gaff. Yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, I feel, also Venus on the day of that trial or during the time that that trial is supposed to start, Venus, women, money is moving across Trump's Mars, how he puts himself forward. So
I was reading the tea leaves last night at my Psychic News Network live stream, and so I looked in the cup, and it has the planets in the cup, and I saw Venus, and there was a hammer.
well, that's what this is.
Yeah, it's very clear. Yeah, he's
So this is about money, and
he's losing.
I don't know if you've seen, but she is making a motion for a summary judgment, much as what Ruby Freeman and Shay Moss got against Giuliani, much as just like E. Jean Carroll got against Trump. She's moved for a summary judgment on the issue of the issue of having overstated his property by 2.2 billion
It's
or more.
unbelievable. Is it that high?
Yeah. It might
Oh
actually
my
be more than
gosh.
that. At any rate, if she gets that, and this chart could certainly be in line with that, then it's just a question. The trial would just be how much does he owe and what are the consequences for what he does. And what she wants to do and what this would support is dismantle Trump org.
So somebody's saying, let's see, Haba didn't ask for a jury in 15 days required. And the 15 days required, big mistake. Now it's a bench trial. And you're a lawyer, so you can kind of explain what that means.
So this means this is in the New York State Trump Organization
Mhm.
litigation. Is that what they're saying?
Yeah.
A bench trial is when it's tried to the judge, when the judge is both the trier of fact and of the law. Normally, the jury, if you have a jury, the jury makes decisions of makes findings about the facts,
Mhm.
and then the judge will like impose the verdict based on the jury findings. If it's a bench trial, that means there's no jury, it usually goes quicker.
Yeah.
And the so maybe this is a ploy to just get it up on appeal quicker,
I don't
because then
know.
you wouldn't have the time, they wouldn't have the time of what it takes to actually pick a jury. That process can go on for days, sometimes much longer.
So you think this will give him an opening to delay it?
What my suspicion would be, that if he has a bench trial, that gets him a judgment all the quicker that he can then appeal.
It's all about appealing and delaying and appealing and
It's all
delaying.
about
And
delaying. Right.
I think the judicial system is onto that. I wonder if they're gonna just start moving faster
I
on the
think some of that
judge's
has
side.
been happening.
Yeah, right. So October, we've all been waiting for October, and then last night, I don't know how this slipped by, but I was looking at October and I went, "Oh my God, there are two eclipses." I'm sure Kathy's been talking about that, but I had my mind
I
on
have been.
I know, but I had my mind on one eclipse on the 28th. So
Ah,
we must have talked about that quite a bit. So it just seemed like there was so much going on the 28th, and then I'm like, "Wait, there's a solar eclipse on the is it the 15th, like in a month?"
middle of the month. It's I think it's the 14th. It's the new moon. So there's a Libra solar eclipse. It's around 20 degrees Libra for those of you who follow charts and stuff. And this is like the call in response to the Aries solar eclipse that set this eclipse family off.
In the
And
spring.
this one is rebooting and revisiting and refreshing, upgrading whatever our agreements are, our relationship ground rules, and some specific relationships. And it's a Venus ruled eclipse. It's really,
Oh wow.
I could get into the weeds really quickly about this, but so we've been the last couple of years, we've had eclipses that had to do with resources, where the north node of the moon, like the signature for the eclipse was Taurus. So they were Venus ruled eclipses, and the south node, representing the behavior that we're moving away from, were ruled by Pluto, modern ruler, or Mars, traditional ruler of Scorpio. So now we're in eclipses that are Mars ruled,
Mm-hmm.
but the south node, all the south node eclipses are ruled by Venus. So they've switched places, and we're going to be, my view is it's pushing everybody toward much more self-actualization, much more independent behavior, not thinking through in advance. I don't know if any of you out there did this when you were younger, or if you still engage in this activity, in which case, let me suggest to you that maybe it's outmoded. When you sit and you twist yourself in knots trying to figure out what somebody else wants, and you
Mm-hmm.
try to arrange everything to meet their needs in advance,
If you're codependent.
rather than just asking them,
Right, right.
or
Yeah.
doing what you're going to do and not
Just
worrying about what the other person's
yeah,
going to do.
tell it like it is. Say what's
We're
on your
moving,
speak your mind. So we're moving
we're
we're moving away from like you said we're moving away from what how would you describe what we're moving away from?
um, being overly concerned with what's going on with the other person,
Oh,
and
that's interesting.
compromising in advance rather than doing what you're going to do. And sometimes, oh, I don't know, how about discuss it,
Everybody communicate.
negotiate it.
Yeah, phones have made us not so good at that. I mean, smartphones have made us not so good at. Maybe we're going to be revisiting our communication skills somewhat. You know,
I think we're just going to stop worrying about the impact on other people. Now, I want to
that doesn't sound good
now I want to clarify this.
entirely.
It doesn't mean we're all going to start driving bulldozers over each
Okay,
other,
that's good.
because
We've had
as
enough
this
of that.
eclipse family plays out, by the end of it, in the final one is in March of 2025. By the end of it, Venus and Mars are in really lovey-dovey relationships. So we're figuring out,
Really.
honestly, if you're, I mean, Honestly, that's the key word. If you're more honest in a relationship, it tends to go better.
Excuse my skepticism. Yeah, that's good. I mean, I'm glad because, we've really had it with this nastiness, people being nasty to one another. That's not who we are, I don't think. So, Mars and Venus in harmony,
By
you're
the
saying?
end of this eclipse cycle. But right now we're much more in the me.
So, they,
I just released a talk about the Aries Libra eclipses, and the
okay.
title is Out of My Way. And that tells you a lot right there. And in fact, that's kind of it. In a nutshell, that's what
Yeah,
you need.
I mean, it can be really, on a personal level, that can be really, really positive. Like I was just saying during an interview that sometimes I encourage people to divorce their families if they're troublesome. And that's kind of that can be a real positive because somebody can be really empowered. You don't have to hate them, but just don't lean so heavily into their opinions and the negativity if it's negativity. I mean, there are supportive, loving families too, but I'm just saying, that's the conflicted thing that can happen. So, so you're saying the eclipse cycle, you mean like when does it end? The
So
eclipse
the
cycle.
Aries Libra eclipses started with the Aries new moon in the middle of April this year.
Mhm.
And the final one in this cycle is in March of 2025.
So when you say a cycle, what's a cycle?
It's all of the eclipses in a certain eclipse family. So the eclipses that are associated with the North Node being in Aries,
Oh.
the South Node being in Libra, occurred during this time. And the nodes change signs like almost every 19 years. So you can look
Oh,
back
okay. So the
19 years.
North Node, can you just kind of give us a really brief synopsis of what the North Node is about and what the South Node is about?
The North Node is a mathematical point that I say it's where the this way to the future sign is planted. It points to, it's like, here's where we're heading. This
Mm-hmm.
is what we're all moving into. And the South Node is behavior that we're moving away from.
Oh, lovely. So we're moving into harmony.
Much more self-propelling.
And that's, well, like I said, it can be positive or negative if we're self propelling, right? So it's up to our free will how we work this, right? What do you think?
And what it's doing in your chart. I mean, for a lot of people, this will be very, very freeing. And again, I mean, if you look at it in theory, you might think, oh my God, this is going to just be people fighting in the streets.
Right.
No, no. It's empowering, it's motivating, it's catalyzing people to go live the life that they feel like they should be living. Self-actualization is a gift of this.
Mm-hmm.
And
And it
which
can,
is
yeah.
not sitting around and agreeing to the ground rules, but like, no, this isn't working for me.
Well, and
Ta-ta.
it can be the collective. I mean, that's what's needed, in my opinion. That's what's needed on a mass, collective level. Is we need to collectively self actualize, if that makes sense. Like we're all one unit or one organism, right? So collectively, self actualization means we want to take care of things that have to do with our survival, right? And I know you
And
have.
yeah, and the first eclipse in Libra in this particular cycle in October puts our attention to what are the agreements that we've been living under, the
Mm-hmm.
agreements we've had in specific relationships. And there could be a lot of relationship rewriting. There could be things that end and it turns out to be the best thing in the world that happened to you that it end. Don't be hyperventilating
Yeah,
out there,
that's a
people.
part of life, everyone. I'm gonna die
Yeah.
without him. I'm gonna die without. No, you might not.
No.
Things
The
might get
example of
better.
this I have is I had it was an extraordinarily wealthy client who was on the Fortune list,
Something.
who decided he wanted all of his key people to have astrological readings. And there was a woman who was one of his top people who had an eclipse coming up in her career house, a solar eclipse in her career house.
Ooh.
And they both realized when that rolled around that what it meant was it was time for her to go.
Mm-hmm.
And she went on to something else, but they were both kind of startled by it. And it was a good thing ultimately.
They
So
went with it. They went with it. That's key, right?
Mhm. There's always volatility. So everyone keep in mind, October is going to be a wild and wacky month. And if you read my forecast, I have been more than hinting at this. So to tie this back to what I started with, this slower time, this confounding time, this Mercury slowed to a crawl and Saturn saying, hey, look at what you're doing time is made for getting your platform in order, dealing with stuff, setting
Yeah.
up systems, setting up your life, organizing in some way, because you're going to be moving really quickly.
That personally, that lines right up with what's going on for me personally in
Okay,
my career.
good.
Yeah. And I feel it. It's like if something shifted in the stars for me, I think it's probably for everyone, but really, like, it's kind of like there's been a hold on so many things, and then all of a sudden it's like, okay, you can go now. Like when you're going on a ride at the carnival, maybe, and you're like
Yes,
waiting,
yes.
waiting, waiting, and it's like, oh, it's my time to go on the Ferris wheel. Like, yeah, oh, finally arrived. I was looking forward to it, but I knew I had to wait. that that kind of feeling.
Yeah.
So we're looking at the United States, and we're looking at these this very clearly in focus enemies of the United States in our government. And I'm wondering if astrologically, and you may have already said it, if it looks like our democracy will get it together to a point where we really are pushing back so hard that they cannot pull these antics anymore.
This is part of the shift in energy from Pluto being in Capricorn to Pluto going into Aquarius. So we are in the next to last push of what people are calling top down power
Right.
of ingrained institutions, um, whatever you want to call it. We've had one little taste of what it's going to be like with Pluto and Aquarius. So we're in a really heavy point now. And then again, next September to the end of next year, we have our final time going through this. And
Okay.
otherwise, Pluto is going to be in the sign that it was in when the Constitution was written. So we've been revisiting what the foundations are, what the structures
Yeah,
are,
we
what the
have to.
institutions are.
Yeah.
And then in a much more collective expression of energy, we will explore a different form of power. I think it bodes really well.
Well, we'll put our foot
Personally.
down on the corruption, right? And the abuse. Sounds like that would be a new way. I don't think that we're going to have a total no more US Constitution. I actually feel that that's going to be reinforced and made stronger through this. But I've also heard, know an astrologer in Nashville who said many months ago, said, this could be, like states being their own countries and that kind of thing. Because she just indicated from her perception astrologically that it would change the way that the United States works without going into any specifics.
That may happen. I know who you're talking about. She always looks at the Constitution chart instead of the Declaration of Independence chart. And so that's going to be up for renewal. But keep in mind, we've had an inherent schism from the time this country was founded.
Yeah.
There were, what's their word? I said, compromise. There were compromises made to get certain states into the union, and a disparity in the economic power, South versus North, and we still have that playing out.
Yeah. So the Pluto and Aquarius, like where the tumult started, was that around 2021? I mean, the serious, like, shaking like January 6th.
At that point, well, 2021, no, actually, I'm going to say it started in 2001.
Oh, well, that makes sense. I mean, because honestly, I was thinking about September 11th, 2001, where I was living in Nashville, and I just remembered it was the same scenario. My mom called me in Nashville, and she said, she was crying. She was like, these people are crazy. On January 6, 2021, when I turned on the TV and I saw what was happening, I went, oh my God, these people are crazy. It was like, and I just realized that the other day. I'm like, it was the same kind of, this is insanity. So it felt like, I mean, it was like, I even mentioned it in my video. I think it was last night. If it was like it happened again. We were attacked again.
Mhm.
Our democracy was attacked twice, and there was some similar energy to it. So that has to do with the plutonian.
Pluto was very active both times, yeah.
Is there something that's almost the same about both times?
That I haven't looked at, so I'd have
Be
to
interested to.
rethink things. I don't think I have the January 6th chart. It's not one of the 75 pieces of paper that are strewn in
Yeah,
front of
I
me. So,
know. And we have to get to those, and I have to stop asking so many questions.
oh no, 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 no. I mean, I could see if it's in this. No, no,
It
no.
just seemed like I'm just, sort of referencing. It was a similar kind of thing, like, oh my God, we thought people were normal, but they've lost their minds. This is like so out of like what we could have imagined. We all felt something was amiss, I think, psychically, but it was just that blasting out of everything out of the water kind of feeling.
Mhm.
So we'll let Kathy, take a look at that later. What was the thing that was almost the same? Because I kind of feel like astrologically there must have been something that was Aquarian, Uranus, some type.
I know that Pluto and Saturn were opposed
Yeah.
for the 2001 event, and I just am not pulling up in my brain what was going on January 6th, 2021.
All right, we'll ask Kathy that next show. Get back to us on that. So, meanwhile, back in the world of our government, we talked about Matt Gaetz a little bit. Do you think that Matt Gaetz, according to his chart, is going to see his demise? Because we all want that.
Well, he definitely has some major stuff coming at him.
Soon?
And he has, that's
And
interesting.
these people are abusive.
He has, it may take till February or so, but
That's
there
okay.
is an answering for disruptive stuff he's been doing and saying, an accountability coming.
Yep.
And interestingly, the same kind of dynamic is going on in Elon Musk's chart.
Oh, are we going to talk
Musk
about
has
him?
been in the news like a maniac this week, which has
Yeah.
been very disturbing to me, but
Yeah.
he's got something happening too. And the difference is Gates has Uranus involved. So that's like, I'm going to just disrupt things, sometimes even just for the sake of it. I'm
That's
just
what it
going to be,
seems like. Yeah.
but Musk has like delusional stuff going on and could be involving, his father, could be involving authority, but definitely there is a massive, massive problem
Yeah, I would
brewing inside of him.
100% agree with that. I just wonder, do you think that he's insane?
I think he has his own view of reality
I have to agree with that. Like he's
that
in
is
a
not ours,
virtual.
and it's being tested horrifically right now and unavoidably right now. And the impact of it, again, may not be until early next year, but he's got some big stuff.
I feel like he's going to be tried for international crimes. I
Uh,
really do.
I would not be
Yeah. It's
surprised.
huge. I think it's going to blow up in his face, so to speak. And
And,
I think he's got similar energy to Trump in that way where Trump is if you ask me, Trump is not in reality.
no.
He really, I'm always so amazed when I do a psychic reading on Trump, when I really see that he's in a bubble and he really has his own kind of reality going on. It's like what I was talking about with Ron the fascist, we like to call him. I like to call him, where they're stuck in the lifetime where they were a fascist dictator. And they just it's almost like they regress. It's like they're under hypnosis or something. They think that they're still there. It's really weird to read on.
May I weave Judge Chutkan into this?
Oh
Because
yeah, let's
he
go.
gets directly to him in that way. Okay.
A whack upside the
She
head,
she has a
metaphorically.
stellium at
What's
the
up?
end of Leo.
Tell us what a stellium is, because that word always
More than
confuses me.
one, three placements or more close together in a sign.
Oh,
So
okay.
it's like this, it's supercharged, like they all
Yeah,
act together. None of them
it sounds
acts without the other.
sounds like
So
stallion, so it's easy to remember that it's intense.
Venus in Leo, she can be very, very magnanimous. Also, she's one for the drama. And her moon, she has a fighter moon, like she stands for things that she believes in, and it's linked to the U.S. moon
Judge Chutkin, we're talking about.
and Uranus. All of these. So she has unusual ways of expressing things, and her Mars, how she uses her action in Taurus, which is very down to earth,
Yeah.
is in a tight, combustive relationship with that. Why am I talking about this so much? Because her Venus and Moon and Uranus are on Trump's Mars in Leo. His I am the
Mm-hmm.
king that he
Yeah.
exudes and acting like that, and her Mars slams it.
With the hammer.
Exactly.
It's the hammer
But
I was talking about.
wait, there's more. Her north node, now in your own chart, as opposed to what's happening in the sky at any given moment, the north node in your chart is kind of like your path your mission, your path that you came in to walk, what you came to do. Her north node is directly on Trump's Pluto in the 12th house. His Pluto in Leo in the 12th house is a marker for behind the scenes power, a
Yeah.
marker for crimes,
Yeah.
for financial
And the
crimes,
hidden house.
for all kinds of stuff. And her north node, what she came in to do is smack on it. She has his number. She is uniquely positioned to get him. And it's
Good.
all targeting his Mars in Leo, the I am the ruler, you must go do these things for me. And she's overseeing the January 6th trial
Yeah.
quite
Yeah.
appropriately.
And he's trying to tell her she needs to get the boot. So,
I don't see that
I
happening.
mean, it's amazing how brazen he is. He's like, just needs to get out of the way so I can be a criminal and get away with
One
it.
more thing, her Mercury, her mind, her communication skills, smack on top of Trump's sun. Smack right there.
Do you think she's
So
gonna gag him?
I don't know. I think it's much more likely she's going to use money
Oh, she'll
to get him.
fine
I bet
him
she
maybe.
finds him and finds him and finds him.
Like you say it again, it's another million. Say it again, do that again, another million. Cha-ching, cha-ching.
So and one other thing about her, okay, tying it back to the beginning of our conversation. Mercury is ending its retrograde at 8 degrees Virgo, and it's sitting there for a while until it turns direct. And her Pluto, how she uses her powder, that's interesting.
Powder,
Power,
like I thought you were
like in a
talking about like
musket, maybe, I don't know.
gunpowder.
But how she uses her power, 8 degrees Virgo. So I would not be messing with her this week
And
if I were a
he
smart person.
there's no limits. He just, there's no filter on him at all. So we're all sitting here wondering, well, was she going to do something like, the strict mama or like what?
Oh, again, it's going to involve money. She will use money.
Would you have any sense of when that might come about, ballpark, like either from your
Well,
legal perspective or from your
I
astrological
would say
perspective?
soon, but let's see.
Okay, so it wouldn't be
So
like
her
next year,
trial is set for
March.
March 4th. And hold on. Um, mm, 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 mm. I would say it's probably going to go pretty close to then because and she will be very, very activated by, I mean, not energized. She will have
Mm-hmm.
energy and the public is going to be on board with whatever she does.
Yeah.
And her She's just uniquely positioned.
she's
Okay.
gonna get him. It's her purpose. It's
She's
actually
uniquely positioned.
it's reassuring to look at people's like dharma, their life path, and to see that. I mean, like we were talking about Jack Smith. We haven't talked about him yet, but I feel like he was born for this. I feel like because I read past lives and I've said it before, I feel like he was George Washington. And Judge Chutkin, it's in the chart, right? We did look at Jack and Trump, I think. We compared charts, I
Fine,
think.
Jack. Let me
But it's
find it.
worth a refresher. Yeah, you have like
Right here.
75 charts on your desk. We work, Kathy. We squeeze whatever we can out of this hour.
Okay. One thing that's important with all right, Jack Smith is uniquely positioned to go after Trump's rogue or disruptor or rebellious stuff. He has, I mentioned stellium. He has 4 placements very, very close together at the end of Virgo. So it's like detailed analysis.
Oh yeah.
Whereas Judge Chutkin has this lion-hearted, I will fight for what I believe in. Don't you dare come after my country.
Right.
This guy is more like, I'm going to line up all the ducks. Got them there.
Speaking of
And
details, yeah, details.
they really, oh, that's beautiful.
When's the try? Is it March 4th?
Yes.
What's going on March 4th? Is that a trial or is what is
That
that?
is when the January 6th trial
That
is
is a
scheduled.
trial. Okay.
Yeah. And so Jack Smith has his Virgo stellium that I mentioned starts really close. Let me back up. 2020, Neptune, gaslighting planet, was in a relationship with Trump's sun and moon that birthed the big lie.
Let's fool
June of
everybody all the
2020.
time.
Okay. So that was a T square to Neptune. So that means there's an opposition and each end of it is pushing on. So he's like really pumped up the cosmic fog machine. This last Mercury retrograde started in the same spot where Neptune was in 2020. So this current retrograde of Mercury has done a lot of cleanup work to find out what was really going on
Right.
when that
During
happened.
the cosmic fog. I'm going to use that.
Cosmic
it was
fog
the cosmic fog.
That's my term for Neptune. So Jack Smith's pile up in Virgo is in exactly that same relationship with Trump's sun and moon, except it's everything. It's massive firepower. It's his Pluto is there, his south node, which is his default behavior. This man details things to death.
Probably has
That's
OCD.
what he does.
Yeah.
Jupiter, which expands everything, and Uranus, that just blows stuff apart. This is all in an unavoidable, inescapable link to the way that Trump communicates, the stuff he says, what he does, what he throws out in the world. So this is the ultimate cleanup work.
There's no escape for him, right?
There's no, not with Pluto being exactly squaring his sun and moon. So Jack Smith's Pluto, his use of power, the power of the details, the power of this is what the rules are and this is how it's going to happen.
Yeah, the actual
directly
truth.
hits that.
Yeah, the actual truth. I'm really going to use cosmic fog machine.
Please. I've been using it for years. I love it.
Do you use it for Mercury retrograde? It could come in handy. Because, Mercury retrograde, it's getting old. We need something else to say.
No. Neptune's the fog machine. And when there's a square to Neptune or Neptune's highly active, it's like something's going pump, pump, pump in the mists.
Right. Which should be,
for
me, I kind of feel like there's a lighthouse and it's starting to cut through. I mean, just the past maybe week, I felt like, I don't know, I think people are starting to get it on a
it's that
massive
Mercury
level.
retrograde.
That's what would make us kind of feel it. What would be happening then to make us pick up
Because
on this.
this Mercury retrograde started opposite where Neptune was when all this nonsense started. So
Okay.
this retrograde is the cleanup. This is the drying out. This is the return to sanity and evaluative thinking
So
influence.
you think that some people, we know not all of them, will kind of get into this position of, what was I thinking? I'm hoping for that. The ones that have been really brainwashed and gaslighted, and because it's so extreme. The
Yeah.
things that they believe are just like prosecuting or investigating with zero evidence and a lot of information to the contrary of what they're saying, and just out of left field, insane stuff. And we
Well,
we have to come back to this normal is a relative term, but sanity, where the sky is blue and the grass is green, depending on where you are. Like where we all kind of agree. Yeah, the sky is blue, right? So I'm really hoping that what I'm picking up on is a movement towards that sanity, towards a government that can function like a government. We hear a lot of people saying we want politics to be boring again.
that's going to still be a while. One other thing that's going on that plays
Probably
into
never.
what you're picking up, I have mentioned before that the US Neptune is in Virgo. So Neptune in Virgo in the ninth house of legislation.
Mm-hmm.
This is kind of a marker for fooling
Oh,
ourselves
okay.
about what we really mean, and also for racism. And Neptune in the sky has been opposite that. It's now not going to get that. It's not going to be exactly opposite anymore. It's gone too far. The current
Okay.
Virgo new moon this week on the 14th or 15th, depending on where you are, is exactly on the US Neptune, meaning there is a possibility of a new start, a fresh
Yeah,
start.
I feel that. And that's right on. So it's on the new moon in Virgo is a solar eclipse. And so that's
No, not this
major.
week. No, it's just a regular moon. Just a regular
Oh,
moon,
I'm
and it's
thinking about
on.
October. Okay.
You think
But
about
the new
October.
moon
Right,
in
right, right.
Virgo, yeah, that it does it almost has new beginning energy aside from just the new moon.
Well, also, it's got a round robin of energy called a grand trine. A trine is a really supportive, easy flow.
Good.
This new moon is in that flow with Jupiter in Taurus, Uranus in Taurus, and Pluto in Capricorn. So it's in this easy flow
Mhm.
with all of the earth signs. So there is the
Yeah.
possibility of reshaping your own individual garden.
We'll finally feel grounded. Yeah. Get in your garden. Yeah, for sure. And remind me what the ninth house is.
The ninth house is covers an awful lot of things. Okay, ninth house is the Sagittarius house. It's
Yep.
ruled by Jupiter. The ninth house rules the way we look at the world. It rules the systems of thought that we create based on all the information we take in. It rules the legal system. It rules laws. It rules publishing. It rules broadcasting. It
Oh,
rules
okay.
um, the courts. It rules legislation as opposed to the legislature. And it also rules foreign people, places, and things. So, interesting. Maybe
Yeah.
we see some stuff about the role of entities not from here. I
Yeah.
do understand that Fonnie Willis has raised a complaint with the DOJ about somebody doxing uh, her and various people associated with the
The jury.
uh, Georgia proceeding that she's got going, and she wants all of the jurors kept silent because of this doxing. And it turns out that the entity doing them is not in the U.S.
Yeah, I was talking about that last night, and I'm like,
It's
you
Russia.
guys have been talking about this for 8 years.
It's ninth house. It's
Yeah,
a new
right,
start, a different
right.
way of looking at what's going on with the ninth house.
Do you think it will become crystal clear that we've been at war with the Kremlin for at least the past 8 years? I mean, just in terms of like I know there was always a Cold War, but just in
It's been an
terms of,
info war. I mean, honestly,
yeah,
they
it's a
just
cyber war. Right.
and I went to a continuing legal education program about cybersecurity right before the presidential election where Trump ended up in the White House. And there were people
Um,
giving these big presentations about real-time battling
mhm.
uh, Russian bot farms that were trying to get into our system, something
Yeah,
called Honey Bear, which later was in the news. And I was just sitting there going, this is so weird that I'm sitting here listening to this and learning about this. And they described like it's like it was they'd used war language, like it's a battle. They see it, and here's what the
right.
programmers had to
Right.
do in real time to fight it. So yeah, it's
Yeah, and that's the way I've been saying it. We've been in a cyber war. We've been in a war with Russia for over the past 8 years, and it's a cyber war, and that's why we haven't really seen it with our eyes so much. But it's a psychological warfare, and they've messed with the elections. Wasn't there a Cambridge something company? What was it called?
Cambridge Analytica.
They were part of that, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, so worth taking a deep dive and reading up on that stuff. It's fascinating. It does feel to me that like that is all going to come to light in terms of the all the American people just at least knowing.
I don't see how it can be kept
Right, right.
under wraps.
I feel this time coming of things becoming like, well, there it is. It's right in front of our faces, but not being told, well, not en masse like it's been going on. That's not really there in front of your eyes. It just seems like people are going to start seeing, oh, yeah, that is right in front of my eyes. Oh, yeah, and describing what they see. So I'm glad to know that. In our last few moments, should we just look at Joe Biden?
Yes, I've got
Remember
here.
him?
Um,
The actual president of the United States. I'm so impressed with what he has accomplished. It actually blows my mind what he did on this world trip, the G20 trip, and stopping in Vietnam and where else was he? We're just not hearing about it.
no, no, we are not. Okay. What I want to say about Biden is next year and into 2025, things get stronger and stronger and stronger
Good,
for him.
good.
And pulling him more and more out of the shadows,
Yeah,
especially around Christmas of 2024 and early into 2025. He will have a grand trine in water, Saturn linking with his Jupiter in Cancer. That's his ability to make connections, his
right.
emotionally connecting with
Yeah,
people.
he has a
And
gift.
that's going to be linking with his Mercury, Sun, and Venus. So that I think bodes really, really, really well.
Good.
When Pluto moves back into Aquarius, um, oh, one more thing about that. I have mentioned Pluto finishing up its time in Capricorn. It's currently in an opportunity aspect to Biden's Venus. He's really working for he really is working for women's interests quite a bit.
Mm-hmm.
And towards the end of the year, we might be seeing a whole lot more of him working, of his efforts for the greater good, and particularly having to do with infrastructure and stuff involving the earth, the
Yeah,
physicality of our country,
so important.
and the economy. Okay,
Yeah.
big, big, big economy things. Next year, when Pluto moves back into Aquarius in the middle of January, he has the probability of being seen as a much more inspirational figure.
Yay, we need that. It's so long overdue. I cannot stand that he's being bashed when he's like he's got all he's a superhero as far as I'm concerned.
But he works behind the scenes. He is
He's
not
a
someone who
Scorpio.
draws attention to
Yeah,
himself.
that's a
And in
Scorpio.
fact, not being seen or being put on the sidelines is kind of his wound.
Yeah. Yeah, well, he has a stutter too, so that kind of
Mhm.
doesn't help. So, wow. That was so much my brain is completely full. Now I have to
Imagine
go
living with this stuff.
decipher. I'm going to go and take notes. I'm going to listen to everything you said and take notes. All right. We're out of time, unfortunately. We already looked at Marjorie Trader Green in the past, and things don't look good for her. So,
She's got big accountability issues and she can't run. She
yeah,
can't run.
a lot of these people won't be able to run. They are cornered. So we can take heart. The good people will win and are winning. And it's going to be an interesting month. I feel like there's so much that's going to happen this month. And then,
The action is going to start speeding up
yeah,
after Mercury goes direct.
yeah. It's going to
And
be a
then
lot of
next
news.
month, woohoo, strap in.
Yeah. It's all good, people. All right. Well, thank you so much. You can give your information, how to contact you.
My website is empowermentunlimited.net, where I have a weekly recorded podcast, about 10 minutes. I have forecasts for every new moon, full moon, and month. And I also have a recorded talk on the Aries Libra eclipses called Out of My Way. And I translate it into normal language. And if you go to my site, it's right there on the top.
Good.
I have a Facebook group, the Astro Insight Lounge, where we talk about astrology on the ground. There's a really heavy political tint to that. My YouTube channel is Professional Aquarian, and my Patreon is /Kathy Beal. So there I be.
And you're a pro-democracy channel, right? I'm starting to say that about my channel. I'm a pro-democracy channel.
Pro-democracy and pro-diversity, equality.
Yeah, like pro-love, man. Bring it on. And everyone knows you can reach me at psychicannetdion.com. And you know that I'm here on YouTube, because here I am. And don't miss Tarot in 2 hours at the castle on my website there. And I have a class coming up called Seriously, Are You Psychic? And that's all on my website. So check it out, psychicannetdion.com. Thank you, Kathy. Let's do it again on the full moon week.
Yeah.
Which we'll check the date. Can we check the date now? We should do that at the beginning.
Hold on.
I'm just assuming you're my regular guest. Because you
that
are.
would be Tuesday the 26th.
Is that good, Andrew? I don't know if he's there. 3 o'clock. Okay.
Pencil.
That's
Writing
when
it.
it will be. Okay, good.
Spirit Talk.
And thank you. And we have grassrootsdemocracy.com. Our 20 on Tuesdays guided meditation for a healed America is tonight. So
You're
sign
powerful,
up.
people.
Yes,
Show up.
really good stuff. All right. Thank you so much. It was great. Namaste. Bye.